ADHD medication can be life-changing to so many people, but not for the reasons that you think. Like, sure, we can focus a bit more or listen to what people are saying attentively, but the real differences are in those little day-to-day things that build up and they become such huge changes. So here are some things that have changed about my life after daily ADHD medication for 2 months. First of all, I want to talk about weight, health, and fitness. And the first thing that goes without saying is, of course, you have a little bit less appetite. You're not going to be snacking as much on most stimulant medication because they just take care of this need. This has been amazing. Not only because I have the patience to cook a proper meal, but also because I don't spoil it. I don't spoil it by snacking all the time. I don't add all these unneeded extra calories, and everything just tastes better because I take the time to prepare it. And also fullness. The case for me was that I would eat until the plate is empty because eating feels good, it's dopamine for my brain. But what the medication did for me is that I could stop. When I sensed that I'm full, I could stop and return that plate, which cumulated day after day after day to me losing a bit of extra fat. I am 3 kilos down in the last 2 months without super much dieting, without super much working out. But of course, I do also want to work out because it is good for every aspect of life. But motivation, it's hard. First of all, it's hard to get out the door, but then it's also really hard to focus on workouts. I would be very distracted while running or while doing anything else, and I would get bored. So I wouldn't be as consistent as I could be. But with the medication, wow, I can really be in the exercise. I can enjoy how my body is moving. And over time, it has led to me starting to walk 10,000 steps almost every single day in the last month, and that has given me a little bit of extra power, a little bit of extra endurance, and it just builds up my confidence. I feel good in my body. I can only imagine if you wanted to have a proper workout plan and eating plan, how far you could get with a little bit of extra help. Now we can talk about focus second, because I do believe once you have been taking care of your body really well for a while, you've been fueling yourself with some good foods, you are well prepared to have good productive work sessions. The best thing that medication has done for me in terms of that is the sustained focus on one idea. I can decide what to do and what not to do, and I can stay on that task for a while. Not forever. Definitely 6 to 8 hours is possible, but it's a very good day. So I can do one thing at a time, but also I can switch tasks because ADHD people, we hyper-focus on one thing. We can't do anything else. And now with the medication, I'm slowly learning to be able to let go of a task and work on another task. And it's something that you really have to exercise. And I also don't need all of these isolating help. Like, nobody should be talking around me. I have to have noise canceling headphones, work in the basement. I don't need this as much anymore because if I decide to do something, I am much more likely to do it. But of course, I use them as much as I can because it does make it easier to save some willpower. And it's even easier for my body to focus because, as I mentioned in my video about my first time on medication, I was able to sit like a normal person. And now I have this mindfulness for my body that I can sit like a normal person. I can sit straighter, be careful, but also during exercise, be more mindful of how I am actually doing it. And I think that's largely due to my brain just not drifting away in some other direction. I'm much more focused on myself as well. One thing that is hard though is prioritizing. Prioritizing is very hard because energy and inspiration in ADHD is it comes from the outside. It's very momentary and it feels very bad sometimes to say, even though my whole world is screaming, film a video, right now I have to do my math homework. I don't have math, but it just feels very bad. It feels very wrong, and I am still getting to a place where I can balance this inspiration and my natural energy towards things with what makes sense right now. Because if the math homework is due tomorrow, it doesn't really matter if you feel like filming, it just has to get done. The next big thing is decision making. It is huge, it is enormous, because to do any kind of work or to do something good for yourself, you have to decide to do it. And that's where a lot of times I would land into analysis paralysis, because with all the ADHD ideas I have in my head, I could choose anything. So I choose to stay anxious and overwhelmed and lie on my couch scrolling Instagram because it's just so much. Still not an expert, but much less time is spent just feeling overwhelmed. And for times when it's not what do I do next, but it's a spur of the moment thing, do we go there or do we go here? Do I reply to this person or not? My decisions are much more rational and much less emotional. So I will choose not to reply back to you in a mean way if you are angry at me, or I will choose to be kind, or I will choose something that makes more sense because I have a second to pause and look at how did it go in the past, how could it go in the future, and then choose my path. Mindfulness, it really does help to have that extra moment, to have that silence in your mind. And no matter how hard you try, there's just a level that you can reach with conscious effort, and there is a level that you can reach with the medication. And it's just this stillness that is so beautiful that has allowed me to focus on my body and focus on mindfulness. I even made a list of the things that are going better mindfulness-wise. I have much less music stuck in my head. I have much more quiet time for my own thoughts to pop up. I can form coherent thoughts that people notice. Ideating better. Less chatter, less random ideas, more ideas that are actually getting formulated and getting done. Following through on ideas, really huge one. Less intrusive thoughts, less under the surface thoughts. So I don't know if you had this, but oftentimes there's something that is just bothering me and I can't put my finger on it. And because I am now able to follow through on a thought, I can follow through on it and see what it was that's bothering me. Less OCD and anxiety behavior. And I know I don't have these disorders, but I was starting to get myself a little bit obsessive with, did I turn off the oven? Did I close the door, to the point where it would bother me the whole way to what I was doing, and the whole time I was there, check several times. Less compulsive writing, planning, and organizing. And that's a huge one for me because I don't have that much short-term memory normally, and I would just write down everything. And finally, relationships. This is where all of these things are extremely helpful because due to the health and fitness, you have more motivation to be outside, you're more sociable, more confident. Due to the focus, you actually can find the time to do it. Decision making, you can go and be assertive and do those things. The mindfulness, you can actually be with people. And the self-esteem, you can notice what you are doing with them and pay attention to them, and also not be so focused on yourself and not be so self-conscious. This has led me to be able to understand and see other people for who they truly are versus being left to their mercy for them to have understanding of my ADHD. But if you're new to medication, or you're curious how Elvanse specifically works, or maybe you're curious about how other people feel, I highly recommend this video where I talk about my first day on medication. That was pretty intense, pretty amazing, but over time, I can't imagine where I'll be in a year. So I'll share that with you when it comes.